Okay, so let's dive right into this. We're looking at some let's just say interesting statements from former President Trump. We've got an article here from a freelance reporter, and they cover some really well, pretty alarming things he's been saying. We're talking about threats against political opponents, even mentioning arresting them. And then there's the Hitler stuff, which is, well, we'll get into that. So I guess the big question is, what did he say? Where did he say it? And what does it all mean?
Well, the where is pretty interesting right off the bat. Trump did this whole thing on Bill Maher's show, real time. Not really known for being friendly territory for Republicans. Right?
Yeah, not exactly a CPAC event.
Right, exactly. But anyway, he's on there and just casually starts talking about arresting political opponents, even specifically names Liz Cheney as someone he'd go after.
Cheney, as in the Republican congresswoman who broke with him over January 6th.
The one and only.
Wow.
And it gets even wilder. He talks about wanting to execute the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for being disloyal, supposedly.
Okay, hold on. He wants to execute the chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
That's what he said.
And this is all in Bill Maher's show. It's not like taken out of context or anything.
Nope. Straight from the horse's mouth, as they say.
Mm-hmm.
And the article makes it clear that Trump wasn't joking around. When Maher pushed back on some of this stuff, Trump doubled down, even said he'd use the military and the National Guard to go after his opponents.
Wow. Okay, that's something else. So this isn't just Trump being Trump, then...
Not this time, no. This is different, even for him.
And then on top of all that, there's the Hitler stuff. I mean, what can you even say about that?
Yeah, that's the part that really gets me. I mean, praising the loyalty of Hitler's generals, that's not normal political rhetoric. That's, well, it's disturbing, to say the least.
For sure, and it's not the first time he said stuff that seems to admire authoritarian leaders, which is just, I don't know, it's scary.
Yeah, absolutely. So understandably, this whole thing has gotten a lot of people talking.
I bet. The article even mentions Joe Scarborough, from MSNBC. He had some choice words for GOP voters, basically telling them to wake up and smell the coffee.
Yeah, Scarborough didn't mince words. Basically said this isn't open to interpretation anymore. This is Trump explicitly laying out what he wants to do.
Right, and that's got to carry some weight coming from another Republican.
Exactly. And he's not the only one. Even Bill Maher, who's usually pretty good about seeing both sides, was pretty shaken by it.
Yeah, the article mentions Maher saying something like, I know people will call this Trump derangement syndrome, but this is different.
And, even Mark Cuban, the billionaire who's a big Democratic donor, he even chimed in.
Really?
Yeah, he called out Elon Musk for not saying anything about it, especially since Musk is always talking about free speech, and Trump literally threatened to shut down CBS at one point.
Oh, right. I forgot about that part.
Yeah, it's all pretty wild.
So I guess the big question is, how unusual is this, even for Trump? I mean, we all know he says some out there things, but this seems different.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, he's always been provocative, always pushing the boundaries. But this feels like something else entirely. The specificity of the threats, the fact that he doubled down when challenged. It's like he's not even trying to hide his authoritarian impulses anymore.
That's what's so scary about it. It's like he's saying the quiet part out loud, and everyone's just supposed to be okay with it. And that brings up a whole other question. What does this do to people's faith in democracy? I mean, if a former president can just threaten to arrest his opponents and nobody bats an eye, what does that say about us?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, at best, this just further divides the country. It throws more fuel on the fire of an already volatile political climate. But at worst, well, I hate to even think about it.
What historical context can you provide here? Has any other U.S. president ever threatened their opponents like this?
Honestly, I can't think of a single example in modern history. There's always been a certain level of decorum, even between rivals. A respect for the office and for the peaceful transfer of power. This is different. This is totally unprecedented.
So you're saying this isn't just political rhetoric, this is actually dangerous.
I think it would be very dangerous to dismiss this as just rhetoric. Words have power, especially coming from someone like Trump. He still has a huge amount of influence over a large segment of the population. And if they hear him talking like this about locking up his opponents, well, it could have very real-world consequences.
So what does this all mean for our listeners? What are they supposed to take away from all of this?
For me, it's the sheer audacity of it all that's so unsettling. This isn't about policy disagreements anymore, or even just about winning an election. This is about silencing any and all opposition by any means necessary. And that should concern everyone, regardless of your political affiliation.
That's a really good point. So I guess the big question now is, how will this affect the upcoming election? Will it energize Trump's base even further? Could it actually backfire and turn some voters away? Or will it just be more of the same, further solidifying the divisions in this country? I don't know, but it's something we all need to think about because the future of our democracy might depend on it.